My name is Ricky Tran. My real name is Phuong Tran from Vietnam. I was born in Saigon. And the Phuong, Phuong, actually means phoenix. And phoenix is a bird that sort of dies and rises out of the ashes. So the significance there is sort of this transformation, through death, transformation, and to rise again. Phuong, that's my name, Phuong Tran. Ricky Tran is what I go by now, because a lot of people can't pronounce Phuong. We changed the name, or I changed the name. I chose Ricky in 6th grade, because I used to watch Silver Spoons. Where do I call home? I call home Dallas, Texas, but really I feel at home almost anywhere I go. How yoga found me. All right. I was recovering from a speed addiction about 2004, and I was living in a different city, and I moved back to Dallas. Before I moved back to Dallas, I was trying to reclaim my health, and the way I was doing it was through doing Kung Fu forms. My roommate at the time was practicing this 7-star praying mantis Kung Fu, and I did some forms. I did a couple weeks of it, and it felt great. I started feeling good again, but I was waking up crying and fiending for methamphetamines. But doing the forms helped me with that. So when I moved back to Dallas, I could have taken the same practice, follow the same lineage, but it was too far of a drive. So I decided to try something different than what I was used to doing. And what I was used to doing was like working out or playing sports or skateboarding, whatever. But I knew that if I was to keep doing what I was doing, I was going to keep getting what I was getting. So I had to find something completely new and different, and yoga was the thing. I found this power yoga studio, but after the first class I was hooked, and I signed up for a year. It was a big commitment. I'd never made such a big commitment, but I felt like it was what I needed. I sweated, I felt great. That was the biggest thing. I felt so good after that class that I decided to join the studio and try it for a year and see what happened. I started practicing 2 to 3 times a week and worked my way up to 5 to 6 times a week. After about 6 months, I was able to quit smoking speed, which was huge. I just didn't feel like I wanted it anymore. And plus, when I did do it, it would ruin my yoga practice. Yoga became more important than all the other stuff. But I continued to drink and pop pills. And 12 months into the practice, I had a realization. I walked out of the yoga class, and I was packing my cigarettes, and I unwrapped the cellophane, and as I pulled out the cigarette, I was asking myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I just spent an hour and a half deep breathing, cleaning out my lungs and purifying my body, and I was about to put more toxins into my body. And so I realized that I thought previously that this brought me pleasure when it really brought me pain. And so I made the correlation that this was painful. And as soon as I realized that everything that we did revolved around either bringing pleasure closer to ourselves or pushing away pain, I was able to apply that sort of program or algorithm across my mind. And I was able to quit smoking cigarettes and popping pills and binge drinking. That was 12 months after the practice of yoga. After that, my teacher asked if I wanted to teach, and this led to that and the other. And the more I learned about yoga, the more I wanted to know. And so here we are. That's how yoga found me. The keys to transformation for me was first realizing that there was a problem. And once I realized that there was a problem, I had to make the necessary steps to change, because if I kept doing the things I've been doing, I was going to keep getting the things I've been getting. In the sutras, they talk about that as well. In order for you to change your karma, you have to change your krama. Krama means sequence, and karma means results. So if you change what you do, then you'll change what you get. And because I was aware of that, that was the first step. I've also heard that 80% of the solution to any problem is knowing that there's a problem. So awareness is key. Yet, although it's 80% of the solution, it's not 80% of the work. 80% of the work lies in 20% of the rest of it, right? So it's 80-20, 80% of, so it's the harder part is the 20%, is what I'm trying to say. As I've come to know my mind, I've come to realize that the way I do anything is the way I do everything. And I have an addictive tendency, a samskara. My samskaras are strong. And I think I'm always going to be addictive, right? It's just strong samskaras. To me, addiction is like a samskara that's out of control. And because I have such intense passion in what I do, that I'm always going to be addicted to whatever it is I'm doing. I just need to find something that is going to be good for me. And fortunately, yoga fell into my laps. It was handed to me somehow, one way or another. I can't take ownership on finding it. Everything, a lot of things had to happen for me to find yoga, for yoga to find me. So yes, I had to trade one addiction for another. It's said that 80% of the thoughts today are going to be the same thoughts that we have tomorrow. And likewise, every day, 80% of our thoughts are the same. We're like a broken record, and the needle's in the groove. And our minds are always following the same groove. So it's our job to change our thought patterns to help to change the way the needle grooves on the record. So the key to transformation begins with awareness. And awareness starts with slowing down. For me, what happened was I was driving away from a gathering of addicts. And it wasn't until I was able to be by myself driving down the street where I was able to slow down and observe and realize that, hey, this is not where I want to go, because if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting what I'm getting. It's just, I was somehow, I was able to stop for a moment and just be and realize, and I hadn't done yoga yet. And so somehow I found a practice that was, it was like applying the brakes. I was pumping the brakes and slowing down. And so I realized, whether it was in, a pigeon pose or a long Paschimottanasana or whatever, or a long headstand where I'm holding steady and just being and just realizing and watching my mind slow down. And as I watch my mind slow down, I start to see the thoughts come back. And which thoughts are coming back? Oh, it's these addictive thoughts, or oh, it's the judgment. Oh, I don't need that. Oh, whatever it is that's coming up that I don't need, I just let it go. Inhale and exhale, let it go. And through that practice, I was able to purify my mind, much like turning up the oven. Your oven. Every oven has the highest setting as a self-clean setting. And I think yoga to me is that, tapas for the mind. It's like flossing the mind, it's like removing all the impurities. Have I ever hit a flat, dull spot in my yoga practice? Yes, I've definitely hit a flat, dull spot in my yoga practice up until today. I haven't done much of the stuff that I did today. I haven't practiced like this in a while. My practice is fairly gentle and simple these days, although there are moments where I'll take it up, but not like the level 2 class or the intermediate or advanced class that you might see here in a little bit. But yeah, it comes with getting more things in life, like dogs, 2 studios, wife, things you got to juggle. Before, when I was full-time yogi, my practice was a lot crazier and a lot lighter and a lot more control than what you've seen here. But it doesn't take long for me to get it back. Like when I go visit my teacher, it takes me just a few days to get that meditation back. But when I come back, it's like the mind is so powerful. It's like a tidal wave. You can't stop it. You got to slow it down slowly. And fortunately, I've been given the tools to do that. And it takes me a couple days, but after a couple days, I'm right back into it. My first yoga teacher is Susie Curtis in Dallas. Susie Curtis's Dynamic Power Yoga Plus. It's now, I think, called Samatone Yoga. So I started there, and then I started studying with other teachers. Dharma Mittra had a big influence on me, although I've only practiced with him, I think, a couple weekends and then maybe a master class in New York. But a huge, profound impact on my practice. Sri Dharma Mittra. Dharma means one's duty or purpose, one's truth. And Mitra means universal friend. So it's a beautiful name. His name means to be friend to all. David Swenson was sort of my introduction to Ashtanga. He had a big influence, and I studied with him, not too long again, just maybe like a month total. And then Srivatsa Ramaswami. He has given me so much over the past 7 or 8 years in the form of not only the asanas, but more importantly, the philosophy of yoga. I don't think I would be where I am without the philosophy guiding me along the way. One of the things that he said that really struck a chord was Krishnamacharya said that if the information or the yogic knowledge is inconsistent with the text, the shastras, which is the Yoga Sutra, mainly the primary text, then to disregard it. And that's how I've been, just disregarding things that are not in line with the sutras. And more importantly, having learned the sutras from Ramaswamy gave me a completely different take on it from learning from books or other teachers. There's no one that has been able to impact my practice more so than Srivatsa Ramaswamy. And of course, one of my dear teachers, David Williams, I met after Srivatsa Ramaswamy. David Williams being the guy who brought the Ashtanga out of India in the early 70s. There are three things which are what our yoga studios in Dallas strive for is first and foremost healing. The second thing is transformation. So, whatever ailments you have, we're trying to correct. I like what Mr. BKS Iyengar says, that yoga will cure most anything. Maybe changing it a little bit, but yoga will cure most anything, but what it can't cure, it'll help you endure. So I think he says, yoga will cure what need not be endured and help you endure what cannot be cured. So in other words, to heal. And the healing process begins with prana. Prana. Life energy. So I help people to breathe. Breathe. Calm your mind. Energize. And rest. Because it's during the rest that we really begin to heal. Without rest, the healing doesn't take place as well. And then after the healing, if you want to transform, of course, you can sculpt your body or whatever it is. You want to get the yoga butt, I don't care. But I'll help you do that too. But first and foremost, healing. Transformation, of course, yeah, you want to lose some weight. And then finally, awakening. Of course, awakening, that's the goal of yoga, to realize that we're awake, aware. It's the ability that humans, we have this enormous, incredible capacity to be aware that we are aware. And if we are, then we don't sleepwalk through life anymore. We can become conscious of our thoughts, our decisions, and our words. And that makes a huge difference in the quality of one's life and the lives around us. Healing, transformation, and awakening. What's got me turned on now is something that I didn't think I was ever going to really get, which is a family life, and I have a baby on the way, so I'm really inspired with that. Of course, our puppies, we just had puppies last night as well, so a lot of births going on. There's something in the water. But I'm inspired with the next generation at this point. I'm inspired to help raise the next generation and bring more awareness. I think that a lot of people, everyone really, is in pain, in some sort of pain. And if we can help to alleviate some of that pain, then we're going to be in a better place, I think. We in the West might be drawn to yoga because of what we see, that the important things in yoga are truly invisible. and that yoga practice is not circus. The breath is so important that I think a lot of times that the breath is left out completely. So begin with awareness on the breath, and then work towards regulating the breath. One thing struck me, my teacher says every time I see him, when I go to a new training, he always tells these new students that voluntary breath control is very important in yoga. Voluntary breath control. It's the thread that connects us. And if we're just letting the breath do whatever, I mean, there's one thing to be aware of the breath, but there's another thing to be able to regulate the breath. When I breathe in, I should know I'm breathing in. When I breathe out, I should know I'm breathing out. Step 1. Step 2, when I want to breathe in, I breathe in. When I want to breathe out, I breathe out. So, and begin to coordinate movements and breath if it's a movement-based practice. Because eventually what you're trying to do is to still your mind. Everybody can benefit from a clear mind, regardless of creed, religion, race. Clearing the mind is very important. Because with a clear mind, you can concentrate. Without the ability to concentrate, you won't be happy. A mind is only happy when it can focus. A distracted mind is never happy. Think about that and share that with your students. One more thing. One of my teachers, Kumar Pallana, I didn't mention him. He's a wonderful man, passed around the age of 94. One of the last things he told me in one of our conversations on the phone was he said, "Ricky, teach your students to breathe." He goes, "I remember everyone's name in my late age because I still do pranayama. I still do breathing practices. Teach everyone to breathe." And that I remember. Breath, concentration is crucial on the path of yoga, because a mind that's not able to focus or concentrate is not fit for any path, whether it's Hatha, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. If you can't concentrate, you're not fit for any path.